In today's video, we're jumping back to our 2019 NHL Prospect Review Series and taking a look at the top 5 prospects for the New Jersey Devils. We'll review those players coming up next. So welcome back here to Top Shelf Hockey, and welcome back to the 2019 NHL Prospect Review Series. Now, if you're new to this series and you haven't caught our other videos we've put out, I'll put a link up here in the YouTube cards to our current playlist for the other teams that have already been covered. And if the team you're looking for is not quite there yet, stay tuned. We will be getting through them all over the next number of weeks as we head into the NHL season. Now, of course, the other thing to keep in mind as we go through each prospect, you're going to see a slide on the screen with the player's biographical and statistical information. All that information comes courtesy of EliteProspects.com, and it's a great resource for anything related to prospects, so I certainly highly recommend you check out that website if you're not already familiar. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the top 5 prospects for the New Jersey Devils, who have one of the best prospect pools currently in the National Hockey League. Now, first up, we've got Daniil Misil, who's a 2019 third-round selection, a 6'3" left-shot defenseman from Russia. He's an excellent skater and a gifted puck rusher, very strong defensively as well, and good at letting his goalies see the play in front of him and kind of clearing out the garbage from the crease. He's certainly not afraid of the physical play, and if you're in the crease going anywhere near his goalie, he is going to do everything he can to get you out of there. He anticipates the play very well. He sees lanes develop and he knows where to jump up or when to step back and defend. He's a big defenseman who uses his frame to his advantage. He has a bit of feistiness as well and is often involved in the post-whistle scrums and drama. The main reason I think he didn't go up any higher in the NHL draft is just because he had signed a 3-year extension in the KHL. Now, as we know, NHL teams sometimes don't want to wait forever for some of their prospects to come over and play in North America when they're coming from Russia or any other parts of Europe. And this is a clear case, like we've seen in some other Russian players, that they're going to have to be patient with this player and wait for their time to get him over in North America. So clearly, he was still available in the third round. The Devils felt that type of pick at that point was worth using on him, but that's the only reason, in my opinion, he didn't go higher. He easily could have been a second-round pick had he not had that contract in place. Now, next up for me, the 4th best prospect in the Devils system currently is 2016 first-round pick Michael McLeod. Now, he recently played his first pro season, splitting the year between the AHL and the NHL this past season. He put up 33 points in 55 games played in the American Hockey League and had a very nice start to his year. He did get an extended look and extended stay in the NHL with the Devils towards the end of the season, where he got the chance to play in 21 NHL games, only putting up 3 assists, so certainly took its time with the offensive side of the game. But Michael McLeod certainly has the tools to be a second-line forward, but I do think he likely ends up being more likely a third-line player, but maybe, a middle 6 center. I wouldn't rule out the possibility of him making it to be a number 2 center. At least that's what he was projected as earlier in his prospect career as he was first drafted. Now, to me, I think he's going to more likely be a third-line type of player. For the past few years, though, consistency hasn't really been there, which is kind of what's dropping his rating for me. He showed in his NHL games that he can skate at that level and put pressure on defenders with his speed. Obviously, skating is something that's very strong for him. He's got good hands. He's a good stick handler. He always works hard on a consistent basis. You'll never have to doubt McLeod's work ethic, but the one knock on him has been his hockey sense. Some question if he's strong enough in that regard to really allow him to have a lot of NHL success. Obviously, that's something that's a little bit more difficult to be taught and a little bit more difficult that you see develop at the older ages. So I guess we will see, but as I said, for right now, I see Michael McLeod as being a really strong skater who can contribute at an NHL level, likely be a third-line type of center who can play on a penalty kill, and certainly be a useful player for the Devils in the future. Now, next up for me, we get the 3rd best prospect in the Devils system is Swedish-born player and 2017 second-rounder Jesper Boqvist. Now, of course, his brother Adam Boqvist has a little bit more higher profile, was a high first-round pick in the 2018 NHL draft by the Blackhawks. So sometimes Jesper Boqvist doesn't get quite as much of attention, but he's certainly a very strong offensively skilled player. His very impressive skating and puck skills, a lot like his brother. He had a very successful season this past year in the SHL. He got off to an excellent first half start where he was among the leaders in scoring, but certainly cooled off in the second half of the season. But by far, a lot like his brothers, skating and speed is his defining trait. He's not the most physical. He's not the best defensively, so he will definitely need to rely strongly on his offensive skills to really get into and remain in the NHL. He's one of those players, in my opinion, that sometimes you see guys like Michael McLeod, for example, even though he had more offensive success at the lower levels when he was younger, you could still see the work ethic, the skating, and the defensive play be good enough to be a bottom six player. In my opinion, Boqvist is one of those guys that coaches might not trust to be a third or fourth line type of player, with considering how they like to have different roles on the team. But at the same time, he may benefit from the fact that the NHL is changing, and really nowadays you don't have like a clear-cut checking line like you used to. So we'll see. But either way, Boqvist is strong offensively, but he likely won't be a strong forechecker, strong penalty killer, or strong defensive forward. I mean, things could improve with this game, but that would be unlikely. So in my opinion, he likely projects to be a second-line winger if he's going to make it. Now, next up, we have the second best prospect in the Devils system, and really considering who the number one is, which won't come as any surprise here, it's really saying something, because this prospect is really top-notch in my opinion, and it's 2018 first-round selection, number 17 overall, Ty Smith, who's a left-shot elite skating defenseman, put up 73 points in the Western Hockey League as a defenseman in his draft year over 69 games. Followed that up the past season, putting up 69 points in 57 games. Obviously had an extended break because he was part of Team Canada for the World Junior Championships, where he got to play a fairly significant role. It was certainly one of their stronger defensemen. Put up 3 points in 5 games, and proved at that level in the international competition that he very well could play in all situations. And certainly, like I said, he was one of the better defenders on Team Canada. The one thing about Ty Smith, he certainly has the speed, he certainly has the skill, but he's not the type of defenseman that you're going to see with these dazzling end-to-end rushes, putting up highlight reel plays. He does a lot of things well, and he does a lot of things very intelligently, but obviously, like I said, the highlight reel plays is not something you're going to get out of him as much as some of the other top defensemen from around the league. But he's really strong at exiting the zone cleanly out of the defensive zone, and he's really, really strong at getting entries into the offensive zone, especially on a power play where he could be a power play quarterback in the future. I can certainly see him really, really solid with that. But he's also really strong defensively in his own end as well, and certainly projects to be probably not a number one defenseman, but I think he could be a number 2 or a number 3. He could certainly be a power play quarterback and be a great, great asset for this Devils team for many years to come. Now, of course, to no surprise here, the number one prospect on the Devils, and arguably the number one prospect from around the league entirely, is 2019 first-round selection, first overall, Jack Hughes, who likely becomes the first player from the United States National Team Development Program to make the jump directly to the NHL. Now, even Austin Matthews, who was a part of that program, played over in the Swiss League before he came to the NHL during his draft year. So even though Matthews went directly to the NHL as an American-born player, he did not go the same path here as Hughes. So this will be a distinction that Jack Hughes more than likely gets to have here. Now, of course, his speed is by far his most dangerous skill. His edge work is very special. He's one of the best skaters in a long time over the last number of years. If you look at the draft, he certainly ranks right up there as being one of the most elite skaters. He spins off pressure so well and is so excellent at creating space for himself, like very few other players can do. You combine that speed with the fantastic vision and hockey sense that he has, and you see him making highlight reel plays at an incredibly fast pace and fast speed, which is that much more incredible when you think about it. Jack Hughes does have a smaller frame, which could cause him to get knocked around a little bit, kind of like what we saw in Vancouver last year with Elias Pettersson. Obviously, Pettersson ended out injured a couple of occasions, so we'll see how Hughes reacts to that and how he adapts to the NHL. But it certainly has the star power to be a play-driving number one center and franchise player for this Devils team to build around for the foreseeable future. You combine him with a player like Nico Hischier, your top 2 centers, considering how dynamic they are and how young they are. This Devils team really could become an offensive threat for many, many, many years to come. So as I mentioned here, the Devils certainly have one of the best prospect pools around, and now you know why with these guys. And of course, there's other guys around their prospect pool as well that certainly have a shot at making the NHL. New Jersey has done a great job at drafting here over the last couple of years under Ray Shero and his staff. With everything that they've been building in New Jersey and the veterans that they've added, once all these young players certainly reach their full potential and certainly get more experience, I think this Devils team could very well be a force to be reckoned with for an extended period of time. So, of course, as always, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on these Devils prospects, and let me know which ones you're most excited about and which ones you think are going to have the biggest impact on this franchise for the longest period of time. And of course, as well, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss the rest of our prospect series and all of our other daily NHL content. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.